We can regularly eat what we want with no major repercussion for our health. There should be no need to give up sugar, carbs, or any of your favorite foods. And the vegetables, complex carbs, fiber-rich foods are still better for us. Adding health toppings can be a great way to create a more filling dish. For example, load up a bowl of soba with broccolis, edamames, mushrooms, and carrots. The low prevalence of obesity in Japan can be explained through healthy lifestyle habits that the Japanese population have continued over time. The average person in Japan is through to consume approximately 200 fewer calories than an average American person daily, which is thought to be due to higher food prices and the traditions and dietary habits in Japan, which are often healthier. The traditional Japanese diet consists of high consumption of vegetables, fish, and soybeans products, and low consumption of animal fat, meat, and dairy. The Japanese population is also thought to be more physically active than many other populations worldwide, both through planned exercise and as part of their everyday life. This is partly due to the high cost of owning a car in Japan, meaning more active forms of transport are used as an alternative. Understanding the differences in the prevalences of obesity across the different countries is vital for developing effective methods for obesity prevention. Data from Japan indicated the need for further policy introduction at the nation's level in other markets, as well as limiting the ease of making unhealthy choices such as through the purchasing the car or buying unhealthy food. At 4.3%, Japan has one of the lowest rates of obesity amongst high-income developing nations, according to the World Population Review. Comparatively, the US sits at the 36.2% and has the 12th highest obesity rate in the world. It's not because the Japanese people are somehow more disciplined than others. Rather, I believe it is a simple, moderate Japanese daily habits that make it much more sustainable for the modern lifestyles. You were to look up decadent foods in Japan, you might be surprised to discover a page that shows the fruit, vegetable, even seafood. This isn't to say that decadence is seen as healthy in Japan, but instead of size or caloric values, it is often measured through the quality. The seasonality of something and how it was produced, where it was grown, or how it was prepared are all factors contributing to the idea of decadence. In this way, idea of treating ourselves to delicious food is not limited to large amount of calorie-dense food. While it can include those things that delicious foods can also take on an expanded meanings. The Japanese approach to looking after my health has made that it's not just easy but joyful. Looking after our health does not need to feel like a chore but can instead be something integrated into our day-to-day to make our well-being feel more meaningful and fulfilling. The modern Japanese diet isn't just grilled fish, miso soup, and rice anymore. There are people in Japan who sometimes choose to enjoy the same food as the US, such as the hamburgers, ice cream, and the French fries. But the key difference lies on frequency as well as a portion size. If you visit a McDonald's in Japan, you'll find their medium-sized drinks are still smaller than an American small. A large pizza from the Japanese Domino has a diameter of 13 inches, whereas in the US it's 14. The 16-inch extra large pizza in the US is not available in Japan. Visit a Japanese restaurants and you will find that you can usually finish the meal without feeling the only stuff it at the end. Exercise as a necessary chore to burn the calories or look in certain way can be emotionally exhausting, but by reframing it for joy where we receive it immediate benefit, it makes us feel good. Japan tends to top global life expectancy rankings with a 2020 average of 85 years from birth. This isn't to say that we shouldn't engage in high intensity exercise as well, but we shouldn't discount the body level walking. A walking around on the rock or a stroll in the park can do wonders for our health. Japanese adults work a lot. Some men average across to 7,000 steps, which women adjusted around 6,000 per day. Participants on the survey included 300,000 households in Japan, including 220,000 family members aged 1 and over. Average American works less than 4,000 steps a day. During the summer, the industrious ant worked hard to store food for the winter. The easygoing grasshopper, on the other hand, spent his time playing freely. Winter eventually arrived. The ant survived, but the grasshopper faced a miserable reality. The moral of this fable is that in life, there are times to work and times to play. It is a reasonable story. But doesn't this beg the questions? When can ants play? We know what happens to the grasshopper. Yes, they starve to death. But what happened to the ant? Do they spend their short lives working like slaves and then die? When do they have a good time? Of course, everyone has to work to live, but we also want to do more than just live. They want to live real life, not just live, but live fully. Not just to be financially rich, but to think of ways to enrich their lives.